Let the Holy Spirit activate. 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 Peace, joy activate. Love, patience activate. Holy Spirit activate. Let the Spirit activate. Please don't be no castaway. You got a question, ask away. Might not be a faster way, but all you gotta do is ask and pray. He'll come through with a lot to say. Won't make you move, you choose a way. I can't lose my fight today. I can't put my light away. I got wings, I might fly today. Burdens light right away. Wisdom sight right away. And like how you even know? I mean that's just what my Bible say. That's what my Bible say. That's just what my Bible say. Know you live in me. I'd rather talk to you and hide away. Talk to you night or day. Kindness, goodness, right away. Love you been so faithful. I know I see brighter days. Let the Holy Spirit activate. Holy Spirit activate. Holy Spirit activate. Peace, joy activate. Love, patience activate. Holy Spirit activate. Holy Spirit activate.
Hey, let the Holy Spirit activate. I say God come have your way. This whole earth gon' pass away. Can't do what these rappers say. Boy, I know the devil cap, cause all he do is captivate. Hey, maybe there's more to this life and they painting this picture. I gotta speak on the spirit. He gave me a heart full of love. I ain't gotta get rich. Water the gate, I ain't talking about Richard. He got a smoke, you can put down a swisher. You messed up so many times, but he got that grace, my dog. He get you, he get you. Just read in Romans 5, go read that scripture. One piece. Washing the blood had a permanent issue. Now we wrote down in a permanent issue. Christ don't want no war, got the devil itching.
Let the Holy Spirit activate. Holy Spirit activate. Holy Spirit activate. Yeah. Let the Holy Spirit activate. Holy Spirit activate. Holy Spirit activate. Joy, peace activate. Love, patience activate. Holy Spirit activate. Holy Spirit activate. Yeah. Let the Holy Spirit activate. Holy Spirit activate. Holy Spirit activate. A2000 EST OCOE.
Good afternoon, Omega Radio listeners. Happy Saturday to all of you out there in Radio Land. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And if you don't know what time it is, well, let me go ahead and formally greet you. This is yours truly, Authencia Manning, and you are locked into the Youth Truth Show right here on Omega Radio. So thank you so much to all of you who are tuned in right now, and I do hope that you'll enjoy today's broadcast. We're going to go ahead, though, and get into things today. We're going to go ahead and play one more song, and then we're going to jump right into our topic. And just to give you a little bit of a filler, just to warm you up before we start things today. Today's topic is what's holding you back. What is holding you back? So we're going to jump into that right after this next song here. So don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. We will be right back. Don't want you to miss this. Don't want you to miss this. So remember, you are tuned into the Youth Truth Show right here on Omega Radio with yours truly, your host, the one and only Authencia Manning. So go ahead and stay tuned in and stay locked in. We will be right back with more Youth Truth with your host, Authencia Manning. So this one here is Gyra. Go ahead and stay locked in. Remember, call a friend, call a neighbor, let them know Youth Truth is on and we are here. And we want you to stay tuned in today. We got a good topic, what's holding you back? And so I look forward to sharing this topic with you all, discussing this with you all, and of course, diving deep into it. So let's go ahead and get into it. And this is Gyra.
I'll never be more loved than I am. Isn't holding you up, so there's nothing I can do to let you. Doesn't take a trophy to make you proud. I'll never be more loved.
I'm already chosen. I know who I am. I know what you've spoken. I'm already loved more than I could imagine. And that is enough. Oh, I'm already loved. I'm already chosen. I'm already chosen. I know who I am. I know what you've spoken. I know what you've spoken. I'm already loved. More than I could imagine. That is enough. That is enough. It's enough for me. I'm already loved. I'm already chosen. Already chosen. I know who I am. I know what you've spoken. I'm already loved more than I could even fathom. That is enough. Yes, it is. It's enough. It's enough. That is enough. What His truth says is better than anything. That is enough. What He's declared over us is true. That is enough. 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 Jehovah, you are. That is enough. Supply, you are. That is enough. You have everything. That is enough. Jesus, I have everything. That is enough.
All right, so that one there was Gyra by none other than Maverick City Music and Elevation Worship. So we want to go ahead and just be very grateful for that song because I truthfully love listening to it. It's just an amazing song, and then the reggae remix is just, it just adds to it. So it just makes it an even better song. But I do hope that you all enjoyed that one. I do hope that you enjoyed it. We're going to go ahead and get into things today. Yes, we're going to jump right into things today because, as I mentioned, this is the Youth Truth Show with yours truly, your host, Authencia Manning, and we're going to go ahead and get right into things. So, as I said earlier, before playing Gyra, today's topic is what's holding you back. And the reason why I've brought up this topic is because every time that we start a new year, right, we are 15 days into a new year. And every time we start a new year, we make New Year's resolutions or we tell ourselves what we aspire to do for the year, the things that we want to get rid of, the things that we want to hang on to, and so on and so forth. So today I want to pose the question to all of you listening, whether you are listening or watching on social media. I want to pose the question to all of you. What is holding you back? So what are the things that you want to do, that you aspire to achieve this year? The things that God is calling you to do? What are those business ideas that you've been sleeping on? What are those things that God has been calling you to do? He has been pulling you and pulling you and pulling you and saying, this is where I want you right now. This is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to say. This is where I want you to go. This is where I want you to be. This is where I want you to stay. When God is calling you to do whatever it is, right? Those things, what is holding you back from doing those things? What is blocking you from achieving the things that God has ordained for you, that He has preordained for you? Remember that the Bible tells us that anything that we ask for, we already have it. We have more than we could even think or imagine, right? Because of the love of God. We have more than we can even think or imagine. So that means the things that we aspire to have and the things that we want, we have that and more. And we don't even have the mental capacity to understand what that more contains. So I'm posing the question to all of you. What is it that's holding you back? What is blocking you from being who you're supposed to be? What is controlling you and stopping you from becoming who you are meant to be? What is putting up a big wall in front of you? What is the wall? What is the makings of the wall? What is blocking you from stepping forward into your calling and stepping forward into your purpose? What is stopping you from doing what God is calling you to do? What is blocking you from using your gifts for the glory of God and doing the things that God is calling you to do? What is stopping you? What is hurting you? There could be so many different things that are holding you back, but we were not made to be held back. And God tells us in his word that nothing will hold us back. He tells us nothing will hold us back. So why are we allowing ourselves to be held back? We have to remember that we may be in this world, but we are not of this world. So things such as being held back are things of this world and not of God. And God did not create us to be held back from whatever it is that he is calling us to do. So what is it that is holding you back? What is it that's blocking you from becoming who you're supposed to be? You have the ability to sing. You have the ability to dance. You have the ability to write. You have the ability to read. You have the ability to cook. You have the ability to clean. You know, whatever it is that you have that you are exceptionally well at, or even just good at, you know, you're just good at it. It's just something that you can do. Whatever that is, stop sleeping on that ability and use it to benefit not you, but to benefit the glory of God, to benefit the kingdom of God. Everything that we have was given to us by God and ordained to be given to us by God. So now that we are, you know, into a new year, right? And we've been sleeping on these gifts and so on and so forth for however long. You know how long you've been sleeping on whatever your gift is. I'm asking you today, what is stopping you? What is it that is controlling you and telling you, don't use that gift, don't use that ability, not to use it? What's telling you not to use it? Is it a person? Is it people? Because if you're surrounding yourself with people who are holding you back, then it's about time that you cut those people loose. And if you're worried about being alone, I've done a show a while back where I mentioned about how sometimes you have to be alone in order for God to use you. And being alone is not a bad thing. It's not always a bad thing, because sometimes God has to isolate you. Sometimes he has to put you in a place of total isolation in order for him to reach you, because God is always talking to us. He's always ministering to us. He's always showing us something or trying to deliver some word to us. But if we are unable to hear him, unable to feel him, unable to experience what he is trying to tell us, God is going to isolate us so that he can make sure that what he is trying to do for us or tell us gets through to us. So whatever that thing is that is blocking you from being who God is calling you to be, I want to encourage you today to figure out what those things are, whether it be people, whether it be a thing, whether it be an idea. You know, get rid of those things. Whatever it is that you need to do to get rid of them, get rid of those things. Because we are called to do the work and will of God. We were called and ordained to fulfill our purpose for his kingdom. So not for our glory, not for our fame, not for our praise, but for his alone. So with that being said, those things that are holding you back from doing what God has created you to do, we were all created for something. We were all created to do something. God has called and formed all of us, even before our parents knew we were there. Before we were formed in our mother's womb, God knew what he was creating us to do. He knew what he was placing us on this earth to do. Why we are a part of this world. He knew why he made us. And let me not say he knew. He knows why he created us and what he created us for. He's already ordained in advance who we are and who we are supposed to be and who we were created to be. He has already ordained in advance what we are to do, what he aspires for us to do, what he has already planned and said, this is your calling. This is your purpose. This is who you are, and this is what you're going to do. So God has given you the idea of a business. God has given you the idea of a book. He's given you the lyrics for a song. He's given you the movements for a dance. He's given you the recipe for a food dish. He's given you everything. He's given you all of these different things. but you're not using it. He's given you this brand new recipe and you haven't used it. You haven't used it. And you may think, wow, what do you mean a recipe? You know, a recipe is so simple. But it's the simple things that add up. It's the simple things. The very small things that add up into making who you are. Into forming who you're going to be. So if you have an idea for a recipe that you've just been sleeping on, stop sleeping on it. And when I say sleeping on it, that means that you have it and you're holding it back. Because sometimes it's not necessarily other people and other things that are holding you back, but you that are holding yourself back. You that are sitting on the gifts that God has given you. You have the ability to operate a kitchen and and produce really great things off the top of your head. And if you have that ability, use it. Use it. There's so many people who could use a hot meal, you know, who could use some kind of comfort food. Or even just a conversation. Or just to hear the powerful lyrics of a powerful song. You never know if that thing that you are holding on to and holding back is not just holding you back, but holding somebody else back. We are all connected, and everything that we do, everywhere that we go, everything that we say, all of it is connected. Every single thing. So if you ever stop and think for a moment that, oh no, that person falling off of their bike is not connected to me driving past in my car. It is connected. It may not seem significant in the moment, but maybe later on it will make sense. Because how God operates is, if we think back and, you know, look back into our Bible when we can read the stories of when Jesus was on earth and his ministry as he was here and how he often spoke in parables. And Jesus often did not give direct answers, but he spoke in parables. And so in order to understand what he was trying to tell you, you had to decipher it and read between the lines and figure out what it was that Jesus was trying to say through that parable. It's the same way today with how God speaks to us. God doesn't always speak to us directly and say, you go do this. But he speaks to us in different things that don't make sense to the natural eye. But when you look at it from a spiritual perspective, it begins to make sense. Going back to my example of a person falling off of their bike and you drive past in your car or you walk past on the sidewalk or whatever the case may be, right? It may not be significant to you in that moment. But later on, God may give you a revelation that came from that situation. So that insignificant situation immediately became significant. Because God gave you a revelation that you needed to hear. So you went through something in order to receive something. So oftentimes when we are surrounding ourselves with things and people who are blocking us from, you know, accessing God and talking to him or allowing him to talk to us and us to hear him. Because there's a difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is when you can just, you know, you hear the information coming in. Whatever it is that is being said to you or being said around you, you are hearing that thing. But listening, on the other hand, listening is something entirely different. Listening is actually retaining what you are being told. So it doesn't mean that you are just hearing and saying, okay, well, yeah, I hear you. Listening means you are retaining that information to be used at a later time, to speak to you and minister to you at a later time. Oftentimes we do a lot of hearing and not a lot of listening. We do a lot of hearing and not a lot of listening. We're hearing what's going on around us, but we are not listening to hear what God is trying to tell us through the things that are going on around us. So if there's one thing that I can leave with all of you listening today, it's to be a listener, not just a hearer, but a listener, so that you are not just receiving the sounds of the things that's going on around you, but you are also retaining it. so that whatever it was that God wanted you to hear, you are able to hear and retain the information. And when he's ready for you to remember it, so that he can use that conversation that you heard, that song that you heard, to minister to you at a later time, he can do so. But that will only work if we are listening. So oftentimes we are the ones who are holding ourselves back. We are the ones that are holding ourselves back. And so today I began this segment of the Youth Truth Show with posing the question to all of you: what is holding you back? What is holding you back? You have the ability to sing. You have the ability to write. You have the ability to dance. You have the ability to cook. Whatever it is that you are exceptionally well at or just plain good at, those things, what is holding you back from using it? And if you're listening and you're saying, oh, well, I'm good at all of those things, or I'm good at most of those things, or I'm good at those things and more, use those things. God didn't say that you're supposed to only use one gift, one talent, one ability. He didn't tell us that. He said your gifts will make room for you. So use them. Don't hold it back, because then by default you're holding a piece of you back and blocking you from where you're supposed to be and who you're supposed to be. So as we are in this new year and we are, embarking on this new chapter of all of our lives, all of us are turning a new page in the book of our life. And as we are turning this new page into this new chapter of our life, what is it that you aspire to do? What are the things that you want to do, that you feel weighing on your heart, that you feel pressing down on you to do? What are those things? It may be a business idea. It may be a song that needs to be released. It may be a dance that needs to be recorded and put on YouTube. It may be a recipe that you just need to make and just give out. Not necessarily the recipe, but the outcome of it. Just basic examples, right? Whatever it is that you feel weighing on you to do, stop telling yourself that you're not going to do it or making excuses for why it's not happening. Because the more you make excuses, the more you hold you back. And if there are things around you that are by default causing you to not follow through with that thing or that idea or that concept, get rid of those things. And if there are people around you that are blocking you from using your gifts, using your talents, and doing those things that you are feeling weighing on you, that they're blocking you from releasing that book, they're blocking you from writing, they're blocking you from singing, they're blocking you from whatever, get rid of those people. And again, do not allow the fear of being alone to paralyze you. Fear has a way of paralyzing all of God's children in a way that we just sit back and do nothing. That we sit back and do nothing. And the worst thing that we can do as believers, as children of God, is to have all of this knowledge, all of this wisdom and understanding, and these gifts and talents, and sit back and do nothing with it. It's literally the worst thing that we can do, to sit back and do nothing while we have the ability to do something. So whatever that ability to do something is, use it. Stop sleeping on it. Stop sitting on it. Because the more you sit on it is the more that you hold you back, and somebody who could have been blessed by whatever it was that you needed to do cannot receive that because you're sitting on what you're supposed to be using. God has given you all these gifts, talents, and abilities, and you are sitting on it. And you are choosing not to do it, not to use it, not to go forth and do what God is calling you to do, what he is weighing on you to do. God knows how to get our attention. He knows how to get our attention. And how does he do it? He does it by extreme measures. And when I say extreme measures, I don't mean extreme as in dangerous. I mean extreme as in something that is guaranteed to get our attention. If you look at different things in the world, is anything 100% guaranteed? Think about it. Is there anything that is 100% guaranteed? Anything. And the answer to that is no. There is nothing that is 100% guaranteed. You can't guarantee that when you go to sleep at nighttime that you will wake up to see the next day. You can't guarantee that. And no doctor or scientist can guarantee it neither. Nothing in this world is 100% guaranteed. However, that may not be. The things of this world may not be 100%, but the things of God are always 100%. Always. Hands down. So whenever God is trying to get our attention, he does things that are 100% guaranteed to snatch our attention. So sometimes that may mean isolating yourself. You know, that God has placed you in a position of complete and total isolation where you are alone, where you are by yourself. That means that he's placing you in a position where you have nobody to talk to, nobody to rely on but him. And sometimes in order for us to break those shackles that are holding us back, those chains that are holding us down, and tear down those walls that are blocking us from moving forward in our lives and doing the things that God is calling us to do, it means that you will be doing that alone. It means that you'll be walking that walk alone. Because when you were doing it with so-and-so around you and whoever around you, what ended up happening was you slept on yourself. Instead of moving forward and achieving the things that God is pushing on you to do and calling you to do, you stepped back. God was pushing you to go 10 steps forward and you stepped 100 steps backwards. Because you were relying on people and not relying on him. You were relying on things and not relying on him. You were relying on concepts and ideas and not relying on him. We have to learn that as people, as children of God, that we have to rely on God for everything. Even the things that we think we should not rely on God for. We should rely on him, especially in those times. Because when you feel like it's such a minor situation that you can handle it on your own, that's exactly when you must turn to God. That's exactly when you must put all of your faith and trust into him. Why? Because at the end of the day, when we do things our way, we pull ourselves so far backwards that we can't even understand how drawn back we have pulled ourselves. When we do things our way, we end up in a completely total different situation and circumstance that we should have never been in to begin with. We should have never been dealing with to begin with. But we put ourselves there by relying on self. When you rely on you, you block your own blessings. You block your own purpose and your own calling. But when you rely on God and you put everything that you have and more into him and allow him to mold you and shape you and create you into who you are supposed to be, who he has made you to be, you allow him to mold you and guide your steps, you'll see that things are much, much better than when you rely on yourself. So when you're dealing with things where you don't know how to break these blocks that are blocking you from moving forward with your life, talk to God. Literally everything comes back down to communicating with God. And what is communicating with God? It's prayer. Everything comes back to praying and talking to God and allowing him to tell you what you need to do or what you need to not do. We need to rely on God more and more every day As we continue to deal with different earthly circumstance after earthly circumstance, we have to rely on our Heavenly Father more and more each day. We shouldn't be relying on God less than we did the day before or the year before. We should be relying on Him more. We shouldn't be allowing ourselves to be stuck in the past, or, in the past with the past failures and the past hurts. We can't allow ourselves to be stuck in the past, because when we are so busy worrying about the past, we forget how to act and how to behave in the present. And when we become stuck in the past, we mess up our present and by default mess up our future. So when I'm asking the question and I'm posing the question, what is holding you back? What is blocking you from moving forward with your life? What is blocking you from achieving that great success? What is blocking you from becoming who you're supposed to be? What is blocking you from achieving the goals that you have made, the resolutions that you have put out? What is blocking you and holding you back from doing those things and achieving those things? What is blocking you? What is stopping you? Ask yourself that question. And if the answer is you, do a self-check, do a self-evaluation, and figure out what it is that you need to change in order to get rid of that block, to get rid of that wall. If the answer is some of the people that are around you, get rid of those people. If the answer is some of the things that you see, hear, read, feel, get rid of those things. Today, I want to encourage you and I want to leave you with this, to rely on God. Once you have established those things that are holding you back, get rid of those things and rely on God. Put your trust in God. Put your trust in God. God has already told us in His word that He will never leave us or forsake us. He's already told us that He will always be there and that He will be a present help in times of trouble, right? He has told us these things. And so because He's told us these things, even though the situation may seem terrible right now, you may feel hurt, you may feel beaten, you may feel destroyed, you may feel like a loser, you may just feel down, just down bad. You may be feeling those things right now. But when you trust in Him and rely on Him, you will overcome that feeling of being a loser, of being down bad and down and out. You'll overcome those things because you trusted in Him. God always shows up and shows out. Always. He never fails to show up and show out in our life. Ever. He never fails. So I want to encourage all of you today to evaluate, to really sit back and think, what is holding you back? What is stopping you from starting that business? What is stopping you from getting that degree? What is stopping you from getting that diploma? What is stopping you from getting on that team? What is stopping you from making new friends and meeting new people? What is stopping you from releasing that song, releasing that book, starting that podcast, starting that blog? What is stopping you from becoming who you are supposed to be? What is blocking you? What is holding you back? So I'm encouraging you to do a self-check, to do an evaluation of you and figure out what it is that is blocking you, what it is that is holding you back, and get rid of those things. Make the necessary changes. Because we can make as much resolutions as we want. We can say as much as we want what we want to do. But if we don't put in the necessary work to do it, it will never happen. Ever. It will never happen. So I want to encourage you all today to evaluate yourself, to evaluate where you are and where you want to be and who you aspire to be. And once you reach that level of understanding where you know where you are, you know what you want, you know who you want to be and who God is calling you to be, where He is leading you to go. Once you've reached that level of understanding, Identify the things that are holding you back. Identify the things that are blocking you from moving forward. And once you identify those things, get rid of them. Cut them off. Stop allowing them to hold you back. Stop allowing them to break you down. If you suffer from being impatient, you got to get rid of that feeling of being impatient. Because a part of trusting in God and relying on God is being patient and knowing that you may not see the outcome that you want right now. You may not see it happening right away, but it will happen. And you will get it. You will receive it, but you have to be patient. The things that we ask him for, we will get as long as we are patient. If you suffer from unforgiveness, God has already told us in his word that if we harbor unforgiveness for something that somebody else has done, he cannot forgive us for our wrongdoings and our sins. He's told us that in his word. And if you're shocked by hearing that, then that should inspire you to read your word more. God has told us that if we harbor unforgiveness and we are unwilling to forgive someone else for what they have done to us, he, as our Father in heaven, cannot forgive us for our sins so long as we continue to harbor unforgiveness. So those things, they don't just damage you and make you a miserable person and make you feel so sad and depressed and bitter, but it also damages your relationship and your connection with God, because God can't help you if you are harboring those ill feelings. I could go on and on about things that are holding you back, ideas and concepts that are holding you back. But at the end of the day, you know what it is. What sins are you committing that are blocking you from moving forward in your calling and in your purpose, in your walk with God? Are you doubting yourself? Is that why you're held back? There are so many different things that could be a reason for why you are held back. But you have to decide for yourself to figure out what those things are and how you're going to get rid of them. And once you get rid of them, what are you going to do after that? What's the next step after you've identified what is holding you back, gotten rid of what is holding you back? What is the next step after that? The next step is to push forward and do the things that you were unable to do when you were held back. To release that song, to write that book, and so on and so forth. Stop allowing those things to block you from where you need to be and who you're supposed to be. And don't blame other people or other things, because at the end of the day, other people and other things play a small part in the role of your life because you are in control. You make your choices. So it's at the end of the day, the end game is up to you and your choice and what you chose to do, what you chose to allow into your life. So evaluate, ask yourself, what is holding me back? And once you figure out those things, get rid of those things. Then once you get rid of it, start doing the things that you are feeling weighing on you to do. The things that you know God is giving you, that they are God-given. Start doing those things. Start working towards those things. No matter how long it takes or how hard it gets, push forward and continue to trust in God and rely on God. And He will lead you through. He will help you. He will guide you. He will be there every step of the way. So long as we trust Him. So long as we put our faith and trust in Him. So I want to leave you with that today. To put your trust in God. To hold on to Him. Figure out what is holding you back. What is blocking you. All of those things. And get rid of them. and stop allowing them to hold you back. Stop allowing them to hurt you. Stop allowing them to block you. And move forward. Push ahead. Don't just say what you want to do, what you want to achieve, what you want to aspire. Actually do it. Don't just be a sayer, be a doer. Be a doer. Do what it is that you feel weighing on you, that you know God is calling you to do. Do those things that you need to do in order to achieve the goals you have set. Don't just make the goal. Actually work towards it. So I want to say thank you so much to all of you for tuning in today to Youth Truth. I hope that you all enjoyed today's topic about what is holding you back. And I hope that this will resonate with you and get you to think and figure out what it is that's holding you back so that you can get rid of it and move forward. So like I said, thank you so much for tuning in today. Do hope that you all enjoyed today's program and that you will tune in every Saturday from the hour of 4 to 5 p.m. for the Youth Truth Show right here on Omega Radio. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. However it is that you are tuned in, I do hope that you all were blessed and that you all enjoyed it. And of course, that you will tune in next week, Saturday at the same time. I am so grateful and so happy to be able to come on here and to speak to you all about whatever the topic that God is giving me to speak to you all about. So I hope that it was well received, well heard, and I look forward to speaking to you all next week. So remember, Youth Truth every Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and close off with a song here. This is Make It Right. So go ahead and stay tuned in. This one is by Maverick City featuring Dante Bowie, Todd Delaney, and Jacqueline Carr. Until next week, bye-bye.
All right. I remember when sin was sin. And I remember when wrong was wrong. And I remember when we all fell short and got back up much quicker than to fall. Yes, sir. Well, I'm praying that you open our eyes.